So this is my Fujifilm X-T4, which I have now set to work how I like it. I use the dedicated dials to change shutter speed, ISO, aperture, and exposure compensation. But if I want to change all these parameters using only the front and rear command dial, well, I can do that easily and quickly. Set the aperture ring to A, the shutter speed to T, the ISO dial to C, and the exposure compensation dial to C. And that's it already. I can now control all parameters using the front and rear command dial. In my case, I control shutter speed with the rear dial, and I press the front command dial to toggle between aperture, ISO, and exposure compensation. But of course, if you want, you can set it differently. I show you very quickly how. Go to the wrench icon, select button dial setting, click command dial setting. Here you can map the command dial to the function you want. You can also remove some functions. So for example, if you don't want your exposure compensation to show up as an option while you click the front command dial, just select none. As you can see, when I now press the front command dial, the exposure compensation option is gone. In my case, I will enable exposure compensation again. The next setting you want to make sure to check out is always under button dial setting, and then go to aperture ring setting. Here you can tell your camera what should happen when you put your aperture ring to A. If you select auto, the camera will adjust aperture automatically, and if you select command, you will be able to change aperture using the command dial. In our case, we want it set to command. Now, as you see, with all the dials set this way, I'm in full manual mode. Of course, this means that when I toggle to the exposure compensation, turning the dial won't have any effect on my exposure. But I can just put, for example, the shutter speed to A, and you can see how I can again change the exposure compensation using the front command dial. The camera tells you when the exposure compensation dial is working by turning this little icon appear blue. Blue means it's active and white means it's not active. Now let's go rapidly through the PSAM setting. If you want to go into aperture priority mode, all you have to do is to turn the shutter speed dial to A. The camera tells you that you are in aperture priority with the letter A down here. If you want to go into shutter priority mode, turn the shutter dial back to T, select aperture with your front command dial and rotate past minimum aperture. You see, stop down, go beyond f16, and now we have S for shutter speed. And if you want to go into program mode, just put the shutter dial on A. Now, during all of this demonstration, I've always kept the ISO dial on C in order to show you how to change it using the command dial. But if you want the camera to adjust ISO automatically, you can leave it always on A, and you see that the ISO option when clicking the front command dial is gone. When you are on auto ISO, you can still toggle between your 3 auto ISO settings. I have set this button here to change auto ISO. Select the one that suits your needs, and that's it. Now all this sounds like a lot of stuff, but that's only because I wanted to quickly run through all possible options. But you know how you want to use your camera, and a simple and quick turn on the dials will get you there. So that's it. You have the best of both worlds on one camera, and depending on your needs, on situation, your mood, you can use either the dedicated dials or use the command dials. And that's why I consider this layout here superior to the one of my Fujifilm GFX 100S, which, let's say, forces me to use the command dials. The X-T4 is just way more flexible and gives me more options. So that's it, guys. Now let me go back, hunt for Fujifilm X-T5 rumors, see you on fujirumors.com very soon, and check out the link to the full article to this video down below.